Hey guys, I just want to complete our talk about rolling resistance and weight savings. Now take a look at this front disc. This is the front disc I'm going to be using versus the big huge one that was on it. I wasn't kidding when I said it was 10 inches. This one is 8 inches across. Okay? This one is a 10-inch pie plate. Okay? It's actually a little over 10. But you can see it's got at least an inch on this one all the way around, guys. It's a noticeable inch. It's literally, these are 8, this is 10. Not only that, but they're thicker. Okay? Not only are they thicker, but they have less holes. And they have this more complicated layout internally. All that makes this a very tough, very strong setup, which is why I like it. But it's also very, very heavy. The weight of this in hand is feather light. The weight of this in hand is not. You pick this up and you're like, whoa, hey, as if it's that heavy. This is the back I was running. Same type of thing. It's thick. It's got a real solid setup in the core and very few holes. Compare that to this one, guys. It's thinner in every way. Okay? There's a lot less. Let's line up the holes here. And you can see what I'm talking about here. There's a lot less material in this disc. It's both slightly thinner by 0.5 millimeter and has way more holes up top, so it's a lot lighter. And the weight of this one in hand is feather light. This is noticeably substantially heavier. The two of these together was a fair bit of weight. Now, when you're talking about rolling resistance, the less weight you have to rotate, the better. Now, that's the case in an electric bike. That's the case in a pedal bike. So let's say I want to start pedaling. The lighter my wheel is, the easier it is to rotate and the faster it'll feel to me. So these will actually make a positive difference. Also, they're good discs. I'm going to have to redo my front mount, but it's okay. It was time to adjust my brakes anyway because I hadn't done it since last year when I installed them. I didn't need to. They ran perfect every time I ran the bike till my brake feel faded and I needed to bleed the system and burp it. Actually turned out to be the answer. I didn't actually need to bleed it. That being said, these are about to go on the bike. Give me a second and I'll show you how. Okay, guys. So here's what we're going to do. Here's my rear. Now, as I said before, I want the softer brake on my rear because I use it more often. So I talked about that cross pattern before. Now I'm going to show it to you. I hope you guys can see this. If not, let me just adjust here. Hopefully you can see. And I'm going to slide back just a little so you can see me a little bit better here. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Now you notice the way I'm putting these on. I'm not screwing them tight at all. I'm just putting enough threads on them that they go down nicely and aren't sticking up all over the place. But I will show you what I meant by a cross pattern and by putting them on gently. I'm going to show you the correct way to put on discs, guys. This method has been known to actually straighten discs that had a slight bend in them, and I'll show you why that works. So here we have my trusty Allen key. I'm going to start by going just until before it actually takes up onto the disc. I don't want it actually touching the disc yet. I don't have to go crossways at this point. The reason I want to do this is because the whole disc is going to settle and adjust. And you won't be able to see it, but the physics of it are there. And it does happen, guys. You'll know it when it happens to you when you need it. So, this is the first one. If you notice, this moved slightly. Now I'm going to move across and move it until the exact same thing happens. Just barely enough to make surface contact with the disc. I move this one. Exactly the same. This one, exactly the same. Just barely to making surface contact with the disc. Then I do this one, exactly the same. Just barely enough to make surface contact. This one, I do the same. Now they've all made surface contact. Now from here, every little bit I go is tightening them. And I want to have these have a chance to adjust to their new position. Okay? Before they're fully tightened down. Okay, so now we've got this one's starting to be truly tight, and now we tighten them all up. And the reason is the disc actually adjusts itself, you guys, as it's placed in position. And that is a good thing. So now we just keep going crossways, trying to turn the Allen key in about the same amount each time. You'll notice I'm making very small adjustments here, guys. This one was a little looser, but this is how the system works. It will allow one to tension the rest, basically. When you go crossways, you make this a lot easier on the wheel as a whole, guys. Okay, so now these are rock solid. And if I look at it, it's nice and straight, okay? Now, if this does have a minor warp, I'll see it when you pick up the disc and spin it. So we're gonna take it and spin it, and maybe you can see, maybe you can't, but to me it looks nice and straight. That's good. So there's my back done. Now, just to make sure it's good and tight, I'm gonna start opposite to where I finished and just check it. I'm not going hard here. I'm just checking it. I'm just making sure that I have equal tension all the way around. This one I don't have to check, I already know. This one, no. You go to the farthest one away in the pattern. Always, not the close one. Always the farthest one. Now that's tight, that's secure, that's ready to go. So now we put this one aside and we pull this one out. Now we're gonna take this disc. Now you do wanna pay attention to rotational direction, okay? Technically, this should be rotating this way. I actually flipped the other one around for better grip. So I'm using a grippier disc facing a grippier direction, basically, on the tread pattern. This one, I actually want facing exactly this way, guys. And the reason is, you're gonna look at your rotation pattern on the tire. I have it set now so the whole thing will be rotating this way, guys, which is the direction that this is actually meant to rotate in. The back one, even though I didn't show it, is rotating the exact same direction. No, it's actually rotating the other way around, giving that one a little bit less grip. Ah, that's the key. I like to do that with you guys to see if you notice. I don't know if you noticed that in some of my videos. I like to kind of make a comment, give you a chance to think about it, and then tell you the way it should be. And the reason is, you could do it either way. I could do this for maximum grip, or I could do it for minimum grip. But since I'm going to a much grippier disc, even flipping that one around so it makes a little less grip will actually still be much more grip than what I got from the old system, which will make my brakes overall more sensitive. Now, as you can see, I'm just doing the exact same setup. Going in a crossways pattern, only tightening enough that it barely makes contact with the disc. That's it. After that, I want to tighten it just barely, a little tiny bit at a time, and you always go opposite. So now we're making contact with the disc. I'm just going to check these, make sure they're all making contact. They are. So now we're going to start over here, guys. We're going to go just a little bit. Now this one's still not technically making contact. There we go. Now we're going to take this one. Turn it this way. Turn it this way. Turn it this way. Turn it this way. This one was no longer making contact because the disc has settled down quite a bit. Now we go this way. Now we're starting to get really tight, guys. So we go here. Tight. Not too tight. We're talking a quarter turn at most. The idea is to try and make sure they're all at about equal tension, guys. And that's the real trick to this. You got to make them at equal tension. Now, I've noticed as I'm locking these down, the others get looser. And you'll feel that. And it's because you're locking everything down. Slowly, slowly, slowly. You do not want to just turn these all to one direction, all at the same time, make them tight all together. No. You want the chance for the disc to settle in position, guys. And if it's not settling in position, you've created a problem for yourself because you will warp the disc. They need to be straight, you guys. If you do this method, just the way I've showed you, you will actually straighten bent discs. As long as it's not the arms that are bent and they're just a little bit crooked, that'll actually straighten the whole thing right out, you guys. That being said, hey, I like mine straight. What can I tell you? Now, that was bad. That just let go on me there. And it was because I didn't have it fully seated. When you do this, be really careful. Push them all the way in. Tight, tight. Then pressure on the top. Then turn it. Once they start getting tight, you guys, that's what you need to do. Now, I don't really need to do this anymore. I'm just doing the same thing I did with the other one. A final check in each location. Just to make sure they really are nice and tight and snug. And they're not going anywhere. And they are. They're all excellent. And there was no more. Well, this one's starting to go too. And this is something else you got to pay attention to. I'm now getting 2 of these that are starting to strip because they're old and they've been on the bike for quite a while. No big deal. I have extra screws, but they are really tight right now and I won't need them. When this one has to change, now this whole rim right now is super light, you guys. And I'm looking at this and it may actually have a tiny warp in this one. Heck, it may be more than a tiny warp. I may have to flip this disc around, guys. Yes, I can see it's warped. Oh, maybe not, but it sure looks it. So, I'm going to put this on the bike. I'm going to check it. And if it is, I'll flip it around and do the exact same procedure, guys. And believe it or not, another great way you can actually straighten these out is you can take, say, a book, put it inside the pages of the book, and then put a heavy weight on top of it. I actually have 2 big lead acid batteries here, and they will sandwich this and make it flatten out over time. It might take a day, a week, a month to straighten out, but eventually, with that weight on it, it'll straighten out. So, there's some tips on how to pick your brakes and thinking about rolling resistance and all that good stuff. Keith out.